Crosby, and welcome to Real World Pediatrics. So, today I want to talk about stability in the household. Now, what children need in order to develop properly, emotionally, and psychologically is a stable household. Now, if your child is filled with yelling, screaming, fighting, and carrying on, your children are not going to develop well emotionally. Instability in the household is very unsettling to a child's development. So I want you to think of a child's mind as the surface of the sea. So let me do you a question. Which ship will fare better sailing on that sea? The ship where the sea is glassy smooth, or the ship riding in choppy waters with waves of 10 feet or higher? I think you know the answer. Inside the child's mind are two people, mom and dad, two personalities are coming together to fuse into a unique identity within the child. Any instability in the house can fracture that developing personality. Now, children are more vulnerable in their early adolescent years. The death of a family member, child abuse, sexual abuse, screaming, yelling, unpredictability of the parents can affect the fusing of that identity. If the identity does not fuse well, the child suffers for the rest of his or her life through poor choices and emotional instability. Now, a common trait amongst serial killers is that they come from broken households. Here's a breakdown of the key points, and I'll put them up on the screen for you. You can read them. And as you can see from these points, abuse and neglect in children are common features of murderers and serial killers. This is what mainstream media doesn't tell you. Mainstream media doesn't have the time to focus on their origins, nor do they have the desire. And the audience, that's you, isn't really interested in the upbringing of these murderers and serial killers. What people are more interested in is getting retribution, payback against these serial killers, which is fine, but it doesn't make us smarter. Now, this of course doesn't mean that every child coming from a broken household is going to become a serial killer, but it does illustrate that stability is important in future behavior. Now, let's look at the children of alcoholic parents. Many of these children are insecure in later life. This insecurity comes about because their parents were unpredictable. One minute, their parents were normal, loving, generous people. The next minute, after having drunk half a bottle of whiskey, they were violent and mean. The children never knew when their parents were going to flip out on them. They became insecure. They learned to walk on eggshells around the house. They became guarded, reclusive, and generally distrustful of other people. Now, in her 1983 book, Adult Children of Alcoholics, Janet G. Whititz outlined 13 traits of children of alcoholic parents. And I'll put them on the screen for you, and I'll read a few. They judge themselves without mercy. They have difficulty having fun. They take themselves very seriously. They have difficulty with intimate relationships. They overreact to changes over which they have no control. They constantly seek approval and affirmation, and they feel that they're different from other people. Well, they are different from other people. Now, my parents were not alcoholics, nor were they abusive, but they often behaved like alcoholics. They had volatile personalities. They were good people and they did a lot of positive things, but they were volatile people. You could never predict when they would go off on you. One minute they would be totally normal, and the next minute they would be totally angry. Now, as kids, we didn't see that as abnormal because it was the only thing we knew. But I can look back after having been alive 70 years and can see more clearly what was going on. I can understand the lack of assertiveness in myself and my sisters as I was growing up into adulthood. I can now understand why my one sister went through 2 marriages. I can now understand my own reclusive nature to this day. Now, I could not understand why, as a young man, I could go off on people. But I can now understand the anger that I felt inside of me when I was much younger. But kids, they can't see that when they're young, but they feel the effects nonetheless. So try to make your house as stable as possible. Take your fights with your spouse outside, away from the kids, and try to be more predictable around your kids. Thank you.